See if
You
we...
can hear me there, yeah?
Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, guys, we got Mike Hayden on the line from Australia. Where are you based out of, brother?
Perth.
Oh, wow.
West Coast.
That's correct. That's the bust, the mining bust.
Yeah, that's the one. Our property prices have been going down since 2014, so all these Sydney people are like, oh, the price has gone down this year. And we're like, yep, been going down for a while. But it's funny, our prices are half of what Sydney's are, and about 10 years ago when I first started looking into it, the prices were pretty much the same. So it's interesting.
Are you getting an intermigration of Sydneyers moving to Perth?
Not really. It doesn't seem like many people want to come here.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay. And the average median home price is around, what, 400,000 still?
No, it's gone down to about 450, I think, or it might be hovering around 5, but yeah.
Wow, 500 large.
It was up at 5.5. That was the median.
Okay, what is the average minimum wage in that area? What is minimum wage in that right now? Was it $22?
Yeah, it's about that. Yeah,
okay.
Australian, so
about $22.
Canadian.
Then that was just raised a few months back, right?
Yeah, they keep tinkering with it, so it's hard to know for sure, but yeah.
Okay, so where do you see Perth headed?
Some areas have been going down quite rapidly. Some of the inner areas have actually been going up, 5-10%, but on such low volumes that it's hard to really get a picture of those ones. Mm-hmm. But I'm about 7 k's from the CBD, so within the inner ring, and my area has been going down and down and down. And 2 years ago, when we kind of moved to this area, renting, you wouldn't find anything under $650
a week.
Sorry, $650,000.
Oh, $650 large. I thought you meant $650 a week for rent. Okay, 650. Yeah. Okay, 650 large to buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now those same places, there's places same as that cropping up for low fours, low 400,000s. So, and that's just in the course of a couple of years. So it's been fascinating to watch it drop, and then some other areas that are nearby just seem to be immune. Like, there doesn't seem to be any reason why this area, which is close to cafes and universities and lots of schools and all that, there doesn't seem to be any reason why this area is going down, and other areas just a suburb closer seem to be immune from any price changes.
It could be the comparables in the area when the real estate, when some of the real estate is selling. I think they're pushing comparables, and I think what's been happening, where you see these pockets of areas that are not being affected, you do get a lot of appraisers coming back with higher values than what they're valued at. And yep. I'm thinking like, depending on who's appraising that certain area, because sometimes you get an appraiser in a certain district that only does that area, so he brings appraisals back higher all the time, and so the loan to value is higher, so the bank could do more. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. I don't know, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've seen things like that happen before. I've seen things in my experience happen like that before over the years, right? So,
yep.
Okay, so what do you do in Perth? What do you do for work?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I'm a programmer, web designer.
So you work in the tech industry?
Exactly.
And
yep.
Can you tell us, like, everyone thinks that the tech industry is this very high paying, all back 20 years ago you wanted to be a doctor because it was one of the better paying jobs. But tech industry, is it up there, or is it just kind of fabricated?
Oh, it's doing all right, but let's just say I took a pay cut when I stopped being a lawyer.
Wow. Okay. So you worked law. What kind of law did you work for a while?
Property law.
Property. Oh, can you give us a story? Can you tell us one? I mean, you don't have to mention names or addresses. Can you give us one story?
I distinctly remember one time walking down the main street with a $6 million check in my hand was bank check.
Oh,
For the sale of a place, and I was very careful with that check.
6 million.
$6 million.
So
check.
it wasn't 6 million
someone signed it.
pesos. That's like 6 million Australian dollars.
6 million Australian dollars, and at the time we were on parity with the US, so it was 6 million US.
Oh, that was the good old days. That's before they lowered. That's before they lowered interest rates, right?
Yes, and interestingly, on that, the deal obviously stands out to memory. The stamp duty on that sale was $170,000. So $170,000 went to the government,
Right.
just for the pleasure of being able to make the sale.
Wow, that's like a land transfer tax. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Land transfer tax, basically. Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that's phenomenal. I 170, 160 large. That's a lot of cake, man.
170,000. Yeah.
170 large is a lot of cake. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you could buy a unit for that at that time. That was 2007, I think. Maybe 2008. No, 2007 it would have been. Yeah.
Can I ask, in your opinion, why do you think the mining sector just busted so quick? Okay, it's not like we don't need copper. It's not like we don't need gold. It's not like we don't need uranium. It's not like we don't need these things. We do need these things to continue moving forward. And technology is requiring more rare earth minerals to make this technology as we progress. Why, in your opinion, did the mining sector why did it burst?
Well, it was the price of iron that dropped, because Western Australia was very heavily reliant on iron ore. Mm-hmm. That's what our industry was running on at the time. And when China made a slight shift in their policies, that dropped the price of iron ore. I had friends that went up to the mines and they were getting, I think it was $120,000 a year just for driving trucks. Nothing, no requirements, no experience needed. You know, they had friends that were in the mines and 120,000, and so it was from what I remember of the time, it was the price of iron that went down, and that just wiped out massive amounts of jobs. But the interesting thing about here that people don't seem to realize with that mining boom, a lot of the people weren't actually living in Perth. They were living in, they're from eastern states. Mm-hmm. So they're either from there or they moved to Bali. Mm-hmm. So because Bali is so close to in Indonesia, is so close to the mines up north.
Right.
So people weren't even living in Perth, but they would buy investment properties or whatever, and so they would spend in Perth, but they wouldn't live here. So there wasn't. Weird.
So you saw a bit of a lack in the middle class spending there because a lot of it was investment properties.
Oh yeah. Well, for the longest time in Perth, the middle class was huge and very, very strong. We didn't have much of a lower class, for want of a better term. Mm-hmm. We had a bit of a upper class, but that was more people who actually owned the mines, your Reinhardts and Hancocks and stuff. Mm-hmm. But we had a couple of families that owned a lot of real estate, but the middle class was strong. Everyone could buy a house. I've just watched all that be eroded.
So basically, people would pay their houses off in 5 to 10 years. You have disposable income. The middle class grows. The middle class spends. And the middle class gets taxed. And everybody lives happily. And their streets get fixed. And their roads get fixed. Oh, yeah. And they build bridges. And the country progresses. But
exactly.
So the steel, so the iron, weren't they mining anything else but that? Can't they mine charcoal? Can't they mine uranium? Can't they mine? Isn't there anything else that's mineable? That's actually profitable?
Yeah, we have one of the biggest gold mines in the world, and so that's continued being mined.
Okay.
But it's not as profitable as people kind of make out. One of the big things that could potentially turn everything around in Perth that's currently in negotiations is what we call it Lithium Valley. It's the whole idea of Silicon Valley trying to turn Perth into Lithium Valley. So if that happens, because we've got massive untapped stocks of lithium here, they're talking about bringing in the capacity to do all the lithium processing here. So
that would be good. If
happens,
that'll create a couple of thousand jobs. That will create test facilities.
Easily.
Test facilities. They'll create all kinds of different sectors, and you'll start seeing a little bit of a surplus. There's obviously movement to move forward, right? I got someone in the comment section that's saying something. One of the problems I see in Australia is they added the GST tax system, yet kept the old system in place. What do they mean by that? I know the GST is government sales tax, but what do you mean by the old system?
I'm not exactly sure what they mean, maybe in terms of the distribution. There is some inequality in that, in the GST system as it is. Western Australia has only been getting about 30 cents on the dollar back. Basically, WA and New South Wales, I think, have been supporting the rest of the country for quite a long time, and Western Australia got sick of that and turfed out the old government, and quite likely will turf out the next one. WA's been very conservative, but I'm not sure what they mean. I remember the old sales tax was all over the place, kind of like the American system. And then in 2000, I think it was, they brought in a flat 10% tax rate on everything.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that, like, for a great example is Italy, North and South Italy. South was supporting the North. Sorry, the North was it's actually the North was supporting the South for many years, and then they just want to cut it off, and they're really upset with that. So they have different taxations in northern and southern Italy. So it's happening all over the place. It's been a burden. It's somewhat of a burden when one part of the country needs to flip the deficit of the other part of the country, and I wouldn't stand for it myself. But in Canada, we send a majority of our money to Quebec. In the province of British Columbia, we send everything to Quebec, quite a bit to Quebec, and then I think Alberta sends quite a bit of its income to Quebec. Every other province sends everything to Quebec, so it's been an absolute nightmare for our infrastructure here, our way of living, our standard of living. Everything drops, and then jobs don't get created, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how is the job market? I know the job market's been tanking in Perth. Is it still tanking?
Some sectors are hit.
What's it at right now? 5.6% unemployment, 4.8% unemployment right now?
Yeah, I mean everyone that I know that wants a job has a job. Maybe not obviously paid as much as they want, but that's that's life. So I don't know. I haven't had issues getting work or picking up programming or web design jobs. And speaking to other people, like it's not boom time, but it's not depression time by any means.
Well, that's good that people aren't, because once recession starts kicking off, and then boom, depression just follows. I think I see it as a level. It starts with recession. And then if you hit into depressionary levels, that means furniture is out on the street because they have nowhere to go. So.
Yeah.
So,
well, we didn't have a recession during the GFC. It was fascinating watching the rest of the world go through that, and then
the rest of Australia was watching. They were watching the rest of the world sink. And to me, in my opinion, watching some of the graphs and understanding some of the pitfalls in the Australian housing market, it looks like it's been in a bull market since 1975. Yeah,
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I remember my parents bought their first place in 1981 for $32,000. Dad had just started a government job, tax office, funnily enough, and he was being paid $8,000. And that was for a place that was about 10 kilometres from the CBD. Their house now would be worth at least $1 million. So basically, in yours and my lifetimes, that house and all the ones around it has gone from $32,000 to $1 million. Like, that's just nuts.
Well, if you take it to inflation, so if you want to take inflation from 1981, in today's times, you said 31,000?
32, yeah.
32,000 from
exactly 4 times his $8,000 a year salary.
That's correct. That's the rule of thumb. 426, depending on the income depending on your. There's a couple of factors they looked at, so you're not sitting in a gray area. But hold on. So 31. Let's say 35 large. Let's say 35 large. Okay, 35 large.
Sure.
In inflation standards to 2018 today would be roughly $266,000 today.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, so now we have a problem. Wages haven't caught up to that.
No.
So we're in trouble because technically wages would be sitting around in and around less than what your father made at the time because the buying power was higher.
Yeah. Well, the same job now would be around 60,000.
Oh, that's nowhere close.
Like the exact same.
Well, because if the average price of the house was, let's say, 35, and his income was what, 6,000? You said 6?
Yeah, 8,000.
8,000
then, and it'd be about 60,000 now. So yeah.
Yeah, so 8,000 in 1981 would be roughly 126,000 today's time.
Yeah.
Buying power.
Crazy.
Buying power.
Crazy.
But if prices adjusted to inflation by pay, the average house should be in and around 240,000. That house should be 240 realistically.
Yeah, and I've done some looking around town using the apps and all that, and there's maybe 4 or 5 houses across the entire city, which our city is land size around almost as big as Los Angeles. Okay. So it's a massive land size city, even though there's only about 2,500 people here. And yeah, so across that massive area, it's there's 5 houses at that kind of price.
Wow.
And I'm talking houses, not apartments.
Yeah, you're talking about semi-detached dwellings, freehold properties.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so when you adjust to inflation, that's why I keep telling people, they're like, oh, Mike, what do you mean the average house needs to be $430,000? Well, that's what it should be because the median income... Do you remember that article I was reading here about Seattle? Portland, Oregon.
Ah, yes.
Portland, Oregon's tipping right now at $401,000. They're tipping because the average person making $81,400 can't afford to service that debt.
Crazy.
They can't service it. So they can't service it with $81,400 US family median income. The median income, it says here, median income family at $81,400 and current mortgage rates. A formula devised, well, obviously they're checking their total debt service ratio and all that stuff. They're starting to realize that they can't afford to service a $401,000, $600 mortgage. So they're tipping at $401,000. Unlike places like Sydney, they're finally tipping at what? $1.45 million?
Oh, Sydney's insane.
Yeah.
I've got friends who thankfully sold out late last year from Sydney. They're so happy that they sold out.
Yeah. Oh, I should have one of them on my show. You should get him to Skype me, and we could do a show talking about how they sold at the right time and what they're doing now. You know what I'm saying?
They're traveling around the country in a caravan.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what does this tell you in your perspective? If Portland, Oregon is tipping at $417,000 and prices are starting to decline because of it, and the middle class isn't buying, and the average median income is $81,400, I think the U.S. is starting to put things in check by raising interest rates.
Yeah.
I think they are. I honestly think they're doing the right thing.
And I don't think Australia is going to be raising their interest rates. I know you've mentioned it before. I think that you think that they're possibly going to raise it? No, I don't think so.
I think
I think they're going to keep it as it is, or possibly lower it.
Are you? Oh, wow, negative territory. But how would?
Well, it's not negative territory. It's currently, I think, 1.5%.
Well, if they lower it, well, it's going to bring it down. Well, yeah.
Negative real interest rate, with
Yeah.
inflation.
Okay, can I ask you? But how are they going to hedge against the inflation? Is Australia buying up gold that we don't know, or are they creating 800,000 jobs that get taxable jobs, not government sector jobs because those don't count, private sector jobs that we don't know about that's happening there?
I think Australia's just holding their breath and hoping for the best. One thing that has gone down in the last day or two is, and this happened today, the government basically can't decide who the Prime Minister is going to be, and so just an hour or two ago they actually shut down the government until September 10th.
Oh, there's a government shutdown. There's a government shutdown.
Yeah, suspended. Adjournment was the term that they used, but basically they decided that they didn't want to govern for a bit, so they adjourned it, and with their one-seat majority, they succeeded. So things are extremely chaotic here in Australia, and who knows what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I think it's basically a case of, well, we got through the last one, so maybe we can hold our breaths and just hope for the best.
Peter in the comments is saying, we might have a new Prime Minister in Australia this afternoon. A party room meeting is being held to decide the leadership this afternoon. Russia is to blame.
I think the Russia part was a joke, but
yes,
it's right on everything else.
Yeah, it's because everything that happens is always either Russia or if it's Donald Trump or whatever. Yeah.
Of course.
But I you have to give kudos to the U.S. raising interest rates at the right time, because it's going to save Portland. It's going to save Oregon State. It looks like California and Washington State in between Portland are long gone, because the average house in Seattle, the average home in Seattle doubled in price within a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was condominiums in Seattle that were going up $30,000 a month. In value, yes. So I read the article. Seattle area home prices reduction surge, signaling market shift. And this happened because a lot of people that were taxed, the foreign buyers tax that went into Vancouver, a lot of people went south to Seattle, which is a stone's throw away, maybe an hour, a 2-hour drive. And the other people went east to Toronto, and the people that went east to Toronto are crying the blues because their properties went down 40% in the last year. So Seattle's now seeing the shift, and the mass exodus of people leaving those states, California and Washington State, is just phenomenal. That it's putting hindrance on other states. Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas are feeling the pinch of Californians moving in and Seattleites. But you're saying Perth is not feeling intermigration from...
No. I mean, there's always some, but I think the actual figures show net leaving.
Interesting. Because we have a lot of people leaving. People are leaving the state of California. They're averaging it anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 a day, and the province of British Columbia, where I'm in, there's anywhere from 300 to 900 people a day leaving the province and going over to Alberta.
Yeah.
So that's what's been happening here. But the
Well, one thing about Australia is that it's so huge, and there's nothing in between. So here in Perth, if you want to overlay a map of America, if I remember my distances right, Perth is basically where Los Angeles is. I mean, the land area of Australia is the same as the land area of mainland USA, so take out Alaska. Our nearest city is, I think, Dallas, Texas. So imagine there being nothing between Los Angeles and Dallas, Texas, and nothing north either.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm looking at the map of Perth right here. It's obviously in West Australia. And there's a map of West Australia. Oh, there's no map. It's just showing places to go to visit. But there's a good map here. And I see New South Wales. I'm just looking at the map here. And you do have cities. What's Albany? What's in Albany?
Albany's an old whaling town.
Like big.
So Albany's about 9 hours drive away, and I think there's around 50,000 people there.
50,000 is a bit of movement. That's a bit of movement.
Pretty much all retired people.
Retired. Okay, so it's like Florida. Okay.
Yeah, it's a dead place. Like you don't go there thinking that there's going to be any work.
Okay. What about Coral Bay?
Coral Bay, nothing there. That's mining. So people live there while they're on the mine. So they'll live there for 2 weeks. Anything up that way.
Oh, 2 on, 2 off type of thing.
Mine.
Like 2 on, 2 off. Okay.
Exactly.
What about Kalgoorlie?
Kalgoorlie?
Yeah.
Kalgoorlie's gold town.
Okay, that's where you got your gold.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's 6 hours to the east. I drove there one night. Kalgoorlie, Geraldton, there's a little bit of action maybe in Geraldton, which is, I think, about 7 or 8 hours to the north drive. And when I say a little bit of action, I mean, like, you might get some teaching jobs there.
Okay.
A couple of friends have moved up there, but yeah.
Interesting.
When you're talking about those, you're also talking about moving to desert. Even Geraldton, it's basically a desert right next to the ocean. So you're talking about temperatures in the high 40s Cs. So
that's like 117.
120.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that's hot. Okay, so what about... Okay, so when you get to, I guess, places like... I guess when you get further east into Adelaide and Kangaroo Island and 12 Apostles, like that area, does it get better?
Yep. Well, yeah, Adelaide's our nearest city.
Mm-hmm.
I think the population is 1.5 million.
Okay.
It's a good city. From what I'm told, it's pretty much flyover country.
Okay.
Never actually been there. Been to the other cities, but yeah.
Okay, because I'm looking at there's a lot more action, obviously, on the Gold Coast, right? You got Byron Bay, you got Port Macquarie, you got the Blue Mountains, you got Sydney, you got
Port Macquarie.
Port Macquarie. Okay, sorry.
And that reminds me, I have to correct your Melbourne pronunciation. It's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne.
Okay, Melbourne.
No, there's no R. It's just Melbourne.
Melbourne. Why do I Melbourne? But why do I call it Melbourne?
I didn't.
But it's spelled M-E-L-B-O.
It says that there's an R in there, but it's not. That's not how we say it.
So it's Melbourne.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, Melbourne. Okay. All right.
Love it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you know that English is like my third language, so I try my best, right?
I understand,
Melbourne.
but it's a I don't know, it just seems a particular...
Okay. Repeat after me. This is the capital of Portugal is Lisboa. Say that. Lisboa.
Lisboa.
Oh, you got it on the first time. Whoa.
I've been there.
You been to Lisboa?
I was there in 2000. Yeah, I went there for my 18th birthday.
Isn't it a great country?
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah, I'm a citizen.
Nice.
I'm a citizen of Portugal. Yeah. Then my kids are gonna get their citizenship too, and we're gonna probably, if the poop hits the fan here in Canada, we're probably gonna sell everything and just hit. Where did you go in Portugal? The Algarve? Did you go to
Well, it was 18 years ago, so I'm a little fuzzy about it. But I went to Lisboa. Up to Coimbra.
Oh, you went to
Coimbra. Ended up going to Fatima.
Fatima's nice. Yeah.
Yep. And there was an old town that had a really steep thing with a cable car. It was I can't remember the name of it.
Nazaré.
Oh, it was Nazaré. Yeah, we went there as well. The seafood was to die for.
Oh yeah, seafood's incredible, man. You know, I know Australia is surrounded completely by ocean, but you know what? The Portuguese have the best seafood, man. Anywhere you go in Portugal.
The Portuguese got us on seafood. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm really happy that we got to talk. You comment on a lot of my videos, and I'm really happy that we got to talk and you're live, and a lot of people commenting here, and it means a lot to me that people, you know. Oh, okay. Hey, let me ask you a question. Real quick question.
Sure.
Are people sleeping in cars there?
And none that I've seen. We do have some homeless.
Okay.
And, the Aboriginal situation is a little dire in terms of, like, living on the street and all that. But, no, there's... Because it's such a huge city, people just move further and further out until the point where they're, 2 or 3 hours from the CBD, but they're still within Perth.
Okay.
We just keep expanding the outside.
The municipalities always expand, always a couple of 30 to 40 kilometers a year, right? So
yeah,
they always do that. So, but you know why? I'll tell you why. It's because they want like specific cities to manage more highway. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough.
They want them to manage.
Anyway, I remember growing up, we had a couple of the cities like Rockingham, Mandurah, that were, they were a long way away. Like, they weren't part of Perth, whereas now everything between Perth and Rockingham has been built up. And so I don't know whether they're officially part of Perth, but everyone considers them part of Perth.
Yeah. Someone's commenting here. Charlie's saying, Mike Martin's homeless is kept down because of Centrelink, government social security. What's Centrelink?
Centrelink is a government subsidy program, so it's the thing that controls, like, for example, food stamps.
So it's like UB40.
I'm not sure what that is.
UB40 is unemployment in the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But it also covers, like, Centrelink also covers things like student loans. Like, it's a single entity that literally links everything.
Oh.
So any unemployment benefits or, pensioners' benefits, sick, all that sort of stuff, and students, it's all kind of combined into one entity.
Okay. I wasn't sure. So everyone's commenting there. So yes, it's all government benefits. And then my buddy Richie Cunningham is saying it's Social Security.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, I'm very happy the Skype thing works. And if people want to call... Yeah, I'm really happy this works. And if people... I want to get some people in from Sydney. I want to get some people in from some boots on the ground there and getting us updated on what's happening to the rest of the English-speaking world that watch this. It's pretty sad what's happening in New Zealand, not too far from you guys there. Well, it's kind of far from you, but I'm saying it's closer to you than it is to...
It's closer, a very long way from me.
It's closer to you than it is to me. And you know what? I can't believe the amount of families sleeping in cars, families being put up in hotels. It's phenomenal. 40 people to a house.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how bad it is, yeah. Anyways, I just want to thank you for calling in, and I would like, hopefully, one day, you to be a regular guest and giving us some analytics on what's happening in the great country of Australia. We'd like to know. And
awesome. Thanks for having me on, Mike.
Oh man, thanks for calling. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you then.
Bye. Well, that was a call from Australia. From Perth, to be exact. From mining booming town to in the bust, but lithium ion looks like it's going to be a next major movement there. Dale Cunningham saying, well spoken. Yeah, 1,000,000%. This guy used to be a lawyer. He's my Australian lawyer now. So if I ever get arrested in Australia, I'll just call our friend here, and he'd bail me out. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, guys, it is getting very late, but hold on. Let me read some headlines for you guys before I go, because I'm falling asleep here, and it is getting late here. It is 9:48 p.m. I've been talking for 2 hours straight. Major realtors believe major price correction underway in Metro Vancouver. It has to be. There's no way. 1 in 10 letting agents refusing to rent to families on housing benefit investigation finds. So in the UK, people are not renting out to people who are getting government support. You know what? People with government support are always there. I don't see them as a burden, because they're getting, if you're employed and you lose your job, it's worse. I don't know. That's just me. New Zealand housing ban not sufficient, NLS says. Remember, guys, in New Zealand, they're banning foreigners from coming in and buying from New Zealand. And, guys, don't get all political on me or politically correct. People can't buy in Mexico. There's a lot of countries you just can't go in and buy in, okay? Because you're not of that nationality. And it's happened to me trying to buy a house in Mexico, okay? And New Zealand house debt collectors continued to pursue tenants for meth damage. So remember the meth damage from meth contaminated homes? So a lot of landlords are pursuing people for damages in meth damaged homes. Sweet mold inside New Zealand's dump housing crisis. It's pretty bad in New Zealand, guys. I really feel for the Kiwis out there. Housing New Zealand finally sleeps on a living room floor to keep warm. So a family needs to sleep on the floor to stay warm because that's how bad the housing crisis is getting there. Luckily, it's springtime there in the next couple of weeks. There's a map of Australia. There's our map of Australia. Anyways, guys, I want to thank everybody and my man Mike from Perth for coming on the show. And it really means a lot to me that people take my channel seriously. You know what I'm saying? And if you're just joining in, and Buddy's saying, Charlie's saying, Mike, if you need a hand getting Skype on your computer working with OBS, I don't mind helping out. That's great. Thanks, Charlie. So if you guys want to... Yeah, man. And I want to thank everybody for sending me tips in my tip jar. That's fantastic, guys. Like my wife said, oh, you know what? If people want to send you money, who cares? You're working hard. You're providing them with as much service as you can. And I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe save towards something. And then someone says, Mike, you could be my lawyer, but I'm in Victoria. Oh, any advice for millennials? You know what? I got a few millennials that I'm trying to get on the show from all over from California, and I got another millennial from Oakville, Ontario, and I got another millennial from Dublin, Ireland. I'm trying to get on the show. So now that my Skype is working, guys, my Skype is Mike Martins 1980. That's it. So once again, I want to thank Linda in Sydney for tipping me, Mark in Auckland, Zach in London, Liza in Dublin, Isadora from Toronto, and Matt from Nevada. And our man here that's been tipping me like crazy here today. Where is he? I gotta find this guy. Oh, man. One man's way. I'm gonna have you on the show, buddy. Get my Skype. It's Mike Martins 1980. I want to have you on my show. And I want you to discuss, you know, how you have a very decent income and it's being... You're left hung to dry when it comes to housing and living expenses. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And oh, Richard saying one agent in Sydney says 15% of his clients order him. Hold on. Where did that go? Oh, where did that go? Man, I lost that. Oh, 50% of his clients are ordering him to sell because they can no longer afford the interest-only mortgage. Wow, interest-only mortgage is becoming unaffordable. It's not supposed to be unaffordable. It's supposed to be cheap. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below. Thank you for contributing to the show. Good night.